Hello, and welcome back to the Greater Good video course on how to become a social entrepreneur. This is episode 5 on funding and revenue. Now, I know that this can be a little bit of a tricky topic since many of us have difficult feelings around money, especially those of us in the social impact space who may be a little bit averse to the idea of business or profit making in general. However, the fact of the matter is, bringing your vision to life is going to require monetary resources. Madeline, from your experience, what do folks need to understand about the role that money plays in any social venture?
Yeah, yeah, great question. So, money, I'm sure even some people listening already are getting sort of like elevated heart rates and that type of thing. It's so tragic the way sort of modern capitalism and greed and that type of thing, like people sort of associate money with greed. Like it's this kind of iconic sort of, I don't know, I grew up in the 80s, and so that was, greed was good and everybody was Wall Street, and now, we've seen the damage that that's done. And I think that a lot of people in the social change field, as you observe, are kind of allergic to capitalism, and understandably so, because as it's been practiced as something incredibly extractive, um, and that with little regard for any of the social and environmental impacts that it has, is really, really hard. So, does that mean that we need to throw the baby out with the bathwater? My feeling is no. And we need to also just be really mindful when we do that. Like, um, how are we doing that? What are we bringing to that on a personal level? I really encourage people who may have a lot of fear around money when it comes up, or just kind of a negative feeling, really take some time and unpack that. Like, everyday people are not necessarily wealthy people. They're not necessarily folks who have a lot of capital to risk. And there is risk. Like if you are starting a for-profit venture, folks, you are going to have to put, as they say, some skin in the game. To what extent is that realistically possible for you? How do you feel about that? How does your family feel about it? Like, so what I'm saying is, some of these feelings of fear and concern are very legitimate. And they're rooted in the fact that not all of us necessarily have an affluent background, or where life has always been easy, and we just have lots of money and so on. So, but really understanding the extent to which that is perhaps holding you back, if it is or is not reasonable in this situation, because money is a lifeblood. Like, you've got to have to reckon with it. And I think the easiest way to think about it is as a form of energy, or as my friend Bia Link, who's one of the entrepreneurs I feature in the book, she talks about it as a nutrient. So, if you're a tree, if you're a plant, you require nutrients to grow. If you are a venture, and when I say venture, I mean either for profit or nonprofit, money is part of the picture. If you're going to be, how do you feel about asking people for donations if that's what you have to do? How do you feel about, accurately costing your services, paying your staff fairly? Like, all of these questions involve money, and having a relatively confident, comfortable relationship with it. Financial literacy is going to help you get there so much. Like, until I really understood how to, in my case, balance sheet and understand a cash flow statement, that type of thing, it felt like money had power over me. And because I just didn't understand it, and I was scared of it, and made me feel stupid. And with help from my business partner and just putting some time and energy into, like, believe me, I am the most right brained person. Like, money, numbers, details, like that stuff is so, so, so challenging for me. So I really strongly empathize with social entrepreneurs who kind of share that. But it's got to be reckoned with. I often say no margin, no mission. And that is shorthand, right? And that means that if the entity, whether it's a project, whether it's a nonprofit, whether it's for profit, whatever that entity is not financially sustainable. And I use the word sustainable as opposed to profitable very intentionally. Um, you need to make sure that the money that is flowing through the organization, there's enough to pay whatever your bills are, and deliver the impact that you want to deliver. So, because if you can't do that, then no mission, right? No margin, no mission. So ultimately, if you want to serve and have the impact that you want to have with your mission, with your vision, then you've got to have that margin, which means that your organization needs to make sense financially.
I think that that's so important to pinpoint the criticality of having the resources in order to keep, stay alive basically, and keep doing what you came here to do. And a minute ago, you were talking about how this applies to nonprofit or not for profit ventures as well as for profit ventures. So how does the money flow in a nonprofit venture? Is it different? What's the goal if it's not about being profitable?
Yeah, it's about delivering impact. And so in a way, like the mechanism of a for-profit or a nonprofit entity, and really any, it's the same. Like you've got to have, the value proposition, the product, the service, the team, um, and then the delivery of, what that thing is. So materially, and in fact, I find the distinction between nonprofit and for-profit not, I'm hoping that we're moving past it in this day and age, but either way, like whether you're creating a product or a service, or whether you're selling something, or you're asking for donations, or you're writing grants, or you're whatever, it's a fee for service type thing, because there are a lot of nonprofits that sell products and services, so those are called social enterprises, and those run on exactly the same principles as a business, only you are not trying to make a profit. You are not, seeking to pay dividends to shareholders the way a business might be. And also on the flip side, a lot of businesses are not necessarily profitable, and that may not be a prior for them either. Like they're, it's about impact, or it's about creating employment, or it's about, other things. And so I think as we see this sort of increasing sort of muddiness around the for-profit nonprofit, it actually makes it easier to see that there just needs to be a functioning, what I call a business model, whether it's for a business or not, which is that you understand where money is coming from, when it needs to be there, what it needs to be there for, and that you have that kind of ongoing flow of nutrients coming through your organization that allows you to effectively deliver the impact that you want to have.
That makes so much sense, and it's really interesting to think about the fact that yes, some nonprofits do actually have a commercial activity. They may sell a product or service. I think that a lot of times, we equate nonprofit operations or nonprofit models with only with grant writing or fundraising. Asking people for donations. So that's really really illuminating the way you just like broke that distinction down entirely. Thank you so much for this discussion. And in the next video, we're going to be talking about how to tackle and rise to the inevitable challenges that all social entrepreneurs ultimately will face.